you guys appreciate how much pain I put myself through just to film these videos. After filming that sequence, my elbow is on fire. Okay, so it is about 11:30 right now, and I have exactly 3 hours before I gotta go pick up my son from school. He's getting out a little early today because we've got a very busy day. First thing today is soccer practice. Second thing today is back to school night, which is not terribly excited about. And number 3, I'm hanging out with a good buddy of mine and we're gonna talk shop. But until that moment, we're gonna go get some work done because I only got 3 hours and we need to be hellified productive. I'm about ready to head into one of my favorite places of all time before I get some work done because there's something I gotta do here. But I'm not just here for any old reason, something very specific I gotta check out. Okay, so I got what I needed and a little extra. What is it about design and art magazines that make them so expensive? It's an addiction. I can't help myself. Magazines are a thing. They've been my thing for a very long time. And I'll explain to you why right now. You see, my background is in magazine design. In fact, I was doing that for 10 years before I got the infamous pink slip that I've talked about before. In fact, that is why I picked up that magazine, which I'll talk to you about in detail in a second. Can't drive and film. Or at least I'm not supposed to. Before I get started, let's talk about this stuff for a second. It's the first time I'm trying it. Not an endorsement necessarily. I'm not paid for this because nobody pays me for anything. It's called the Best Damn Root Beer. And it's alcoholic. And it's probably one of the most dangerous things I've ever tried. It tastes almost just like regular root beer, which means you could drink it really, really fast, which would be a problem. So we won't drink it too much. 1, that's all I get. So as I was saying before, I worked on magazine for several years. In fact, this is the magazine I worked on before I was given that dubious pink slip. That is another story for another time. Really, all you need to know is I worked on this. My name was on the masthead. I helped develop the way this magazine kind of looks. They've taken it a step further in the last several years. Before that, I was also a product and branding and advertising designer. I worked for a small advertising marketing firm, and we did a lot of product-based work. I have this heart for design. It's always going to be there. It's always available to me in my head. It's always trying to eke into my art. That's why you always see little bits of typography or design elements in there, because it's always a part of who I am. Most artists, or some artists, might see design and marketing and branding diametrically opposed to fine art. This is a far cry from that. Now I get that, but if someone who has their foot in both worlds, it becomes a bit of a problem for me. At times, I want to do more designy stuff, and at other times, I want to do more creative, off-the-wall, artistic stuff. And now I'm starting to manage a brand of my own, the brand of Dave, and I'm trying to say to myself, which one do I belong into? Which pot should I fish in? Does that make sense? Which pool should I fish in? Should I come over here more? Should I be over there more? How can I bring them together? It's very difficult to be in both worlds at the same time because of mindsets that we have built into ourselves as artists, that these two worlds can't work together, or maybe they shouldn't, because artists need to be artists and designers need to be designers. I don't know why I'm pointing over here. That was pretty good. Dangerous, but good. As I started to dwell on this idea more, one name started to come up in my mind more than anybody else, and that would be Andy Warhol. Everybody knows what Andy Warhol does, but they don't necessarily understand 100% what he was about. They see that he embraced commerciality of art. Shush you. They see that he embraced the commerciality of art, but they don't see the reason he did it. On one side, he was a very savvy businessman, but on the other side, he was always poking fun. Everything was a little bit of a joke. So some of the things he said were said for truth, but there was always this little pinch of sarcasm in them. He's famed for saying being good in business is the most fascinating kind of art. Making money is art, working is art, and good business is the best kind of art. He also said that LA and Los Angeles were beautiful because they were plastic, and he wanted to be plastic too. So there's this bit of like back and forth, this yin and yang between the art and the design, or the money, or the marketing, or the business. He worked it perfectly because he knew where the boundaries lie. He knew where, when he would step onto this side, how much he could take and how much he could joke before people started to question him, and then he would move back over here. And everything was a big joke to him. Or was it? Because at a certain point, you have to wonder, when did he start taking himself too seriously? We'll never know, because he's obviously gone, but the joke might always be on us. That said, I still believe that he had a really good point of view when it comes to brand versus art. So now back to me, I'm thinking of my work and trying to see how I fit into these two worlds. And as I'm doing it, I keep thinking to myself, why can't I make them both part of who I am? Why can't I be the brand and the art? Why can't they be branded art or artful branding? Why can't it be a combination? I'm starting to see the bigger picture to all this because of a conversation I had with my good friend Adam from The Poster List. Just the other day, him and I had a couple of beers and we were talking about business, and he's got a successful t-shirt and poster print business that he's running, and I was talking with him back and forth about the different nuances of art versus brand and stuff like that, and where we would do things different if we were doing them today, and how we might manage things. Would we be more niche? Would we be more fine-tuned? Would we be more elite? Would we be more broad-reaching? And the one thing that started to ring true for me as we were talking about that is that no matter what side of this equation that you're on, there is no guarantee that you're gonna win here or here. If this is all you do, then you may still lose. No matter how good you are, you may still lose. If this is all you do, no matter how good you are, you may still lose. Now, my work will never stand up to the masters. I will never be Vermeer. I will not be Degas. I couldn't be Picasso if I tried. Hell, I'm having a hard enough time being Dave Conry. In 100 years, if my art ever happens to make it upon the walls into some museum, it won't be because of my talent, it will be because of my personal expression. This I believe. The way I see it, people don't buy my work because they think it's exceptional. They buy my work because they envision themselves to be a kindred spirit to my ideology. Either that, or they are completely emboldened by my personality, and it makes them want to do better things. And to be truthful, that is the coolest thing anybody could ever say about my work. That it's not that how good it was sitting on the wall, but that it inspired them to be good themselves. In the radically unlikely event that my art ever becomes a household name, it will most likely be because people have bought into me. Not the work, but me and who I am. People would buy into my work because it is a slice of my world. It is a small segment into my point of view. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the technique or the design or the style, but everything to do with how I exude myself, how I push myself out into the world, and that inspires them to want to put that stuff up on their wall or share it with somebody else by buying a t-shirt, a mug, or whatever. And that is, to me, like I said, the coolest thing ever. So if my art becomes a thing, it's because I became a thing. And if I am to become that thing, then I need to fully embrace who I am and share that with all of you. So that means I share this and I share this. Okay, not this, but you know what I'm talking about. The design and the art combined. I announce for 2016, my candidacy. And so for 2016 and beyond, I announce that I am now the official Connery brand. Put a stamp on it, because that is how I'm going to do everything from this point forward. I've talked enough. My light is dying and my son's probably crying for food, so I probably should go feed him. I just want to say one last thing, guys. I love you very much and I appreciate you. Please remember, folks, if you like this, please give it some thumbs up or some hearts or whatever kind of love you like. Share it with all your peeps by putting it on Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr and Pinterest and whatever. And then, of course, if you have a notion to keep seeing these videos, then please subscribe. Thanks very much, folks. And to carry over something from a previous life, be good today, be even better tomorrow. We'll see you next time.